I was actually dating the guy, and I didn't want to have sex with him. For so many reasons, I was just through with him in general. I was on my period. It was just a lot. I didn't want to. And although I obviously kept saying no, he did whatever he wanted to do and listened to his mind and his dick, really. And I kept beating myself up for it and questioning myself. So I was like, oh, well, we were dating. We were once together. Does that make it okay? And I just had to realize that no. Like, my voice matters. If I say no, then no means no. It's unfortunate because the conversations become this back and forth of them not understanding and us trying to prove how we feel, and we shouldn't have to prove anything. Now I'm at the point where I don't beat myself up anymore for it, and I just know how to handle myself in those situations and be able to speak to other women that might go through this.
Starting from one of my earliest memories where I just have to be understanding, even though I know something was wrong. I think I was 9, and I went to the convenience store and I picked up my bag of 3D Doritos, and the older person at the counter who was working there is staring at me and says, "Hi, beautiful." And I said, "Shut up!" I reacted in this way where I resented my beauty, and I resented my existence because it invited this person to make me uncomfortable, and when I said shut up, he kicked me out. He kicked me out of the store, and I stole the fucking Doritos. Excuse me, I stole the Doritos. And yeah, and that's a story too, where I probably would get in trouble for saying shut up. And the thing that gets overlooked is the fact that 2 seconds earlier, he's leaning over the counter being like, "Hey, beautiful," to a 9-year-old. I'm like, all of these examples through chapters of our lives that lead into the workplace that are just like, oh, it's no big deal. They didn't mean that. Oh, well, he just called you beautiful. What's wrong with that? Oh, he just needed to move out of the way. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with you, but just respect me.
I was living in a place in a nice neighborhood I was living in DC for a while, and I was laughing to my friend because I remember being on the phone and being like, I have never once walked down the street, and I lived in a lovely, normal neighborhood. Never once walked down the street and not been honked at, catcalled, spoken to by somebody who I didn't invite to talk to me. I could get through the day. I was fine. It didn't really it didn't even open a tab in my brain space. I mean, I was fine, but it was uninvited. It was unnecessary. It doesn't always matter the intention. If someone is behaving inappropriately, it doesn't matter if they know they're being inappropriate. If someone is making you uncomfortable, it doesn't matter if they know they're making you uncomfortable. Often they have the tools around them and within them to know that they're being inappropriate. But their being inappropriate they're not knowing that they're being inappropriate does not make it okay. And then when you hear things like, whatever the statistics are that are wild. I mean, 1 in 3 women sexual assault. The average number of women who have been raped in this country, right? You want to put more pressure, more import on the idea of traumatic sexual assault. The number of women who have experienced it is the majority of us. It gets to a point where you're like, not me yet, which is a terrifying thing to contemplate.
I had a lemon drop shot, and the next thing I knew, I was incapacitated. So I believe that I was drugged. After that point in the night, it was super blackout, and then I woke up and this man was fucking me, was raping me. The repercussions of that were that I ended up pregnant and had to try to get my friends to connect me to this person to see if he would help me pay for an abortion, and he denied that he had ever had any kind of contact with me sexually, which is can't wake up in the middle of a sexual act and call that anywhere in there consent, you know? He said he wouldn't do that to himself. He called me little girl on the phone, and he said I wouldn't do that to myself. Not I wouldn't rape someone, or at that point I wasn't calling it rape. I was just calling it like, hey, you knocked me up, essentially. He wouldn't pay for it. He said he wouldn't go half on it. He wouldn't have done that to himself. And I just hung up the phone and I never talked to him again. My girlfriend took me to get an abortion. And I felt guilty about it for a long time because I felt like that was something that I did. And in hindsight now I know, like, it was rape, it was assault. I felt like ashamed. I really thought it was something I did. I felt dirty about it, particularly because I ended up pregnant and had to get an abortion. I felt so shameful about it. And I think I didn't want to talk to anyone about it because I didn't want anyone to have to, like, look at me differently, to be honest. Like, I really thought, like, it would be a reflection upon me and my own promiscuity or bad decision making or drinking or whatever. What sucks about sexual assault is it becomes this thing that you bear. Like, I don't know what men that rape women take with them. I don't know what they, like, carry with them, but I know we carry that shit with us.
It's not okay and it's not your fault.
It's only simple to people who see it every day, and it starts becoming more simple, I think, when we call it out and start talking about it more.
Just people who are not in these academic realms, specifically not even academia writ large, just academia within the realm of the social sciences, are not having these conversations. So
if me sharing my story makes someone else know that, like, what they experienced wasn't their fault, that what they experienced was wrong, it's worth it to me. I get strength from knowing that, like, I'm not alone. You know, like, my sisters are out here in the same shit. My mother, everyone I know, actually every woman I know has had some kind of, like, abuse at the hands of a man. And I feel stronger having been able to speak about it. And that's the truth.